you are a refugee, your grandparents are refugees, and your grandsons are going to be refugees until there is a real solution agreed upon between Palestinians and Israelis. And that's why every refugee family has a separate ID card for the family, representing and telling about them being refugees. Okay? So that refugee card is only for Palestinians who جايبين سياراتهم معهم. برافو عليك يلا يعطيك العافية. So basically the refugee
this is a little tour group that I'm with this morning.
And it's about the fact that every Palestinian that has a refugee origin is also entitled to the right to ask to go back to where he belongs. Okay, this is a topic we're going to talk about it more in our way to the refugee camps. You asked me where we're going. We're going to be covering cultural, political, and historical aspects of the city today. We're going to start in the city center, talk about the geopolitical situation, about the history of the conflict, different problems and conflicts people are facing every day. And that's why the tour is going to be kind of an open discussion between you and me, guys. Whatever and whenever you have a question, please hit me back. There's no dumb questions, only dumb answers. All right, guys? So whatever comes to your mind, please interrupt me, stop me, and talk about it. Unless it's outside the whole tour topic and subject. Okay, guys? If you have something like that, once we are not talking and we're not discussing that, you can ask me about it. Okay, guys? So yeah. No questions about
I know.
Ancient history.
Only off camera.
Only off camera and only off discussion. All right, guys. Okay. We're gonna wait for our friend.
Okay, so this is Bethlehem today.
They thought they managed it. They thought they could, and they managed to kick out all the Palestinians outside what is called Israel today. Okay, but what happened is that the Palestinians inside Israel who lived there managed to hide in different places and to stay after the establishment of the state of Israel. Now in 1948, when Israel drove the people out, about 160,000 Palestinians managed to stay. The people who were kicked out were about 780,000 people. Okay, so Israel made sure to kick out everybody, but they didn't manage to. They couldn't.
Okay.
Okay. When the state was established, they found themselves stuck with that because they're already a state. If they drive the rest out, even though they tried to do so. But if they tried everybody out, it's going to be called an ethnic cleansing or genocide because we're talking about a country doing that. Before that, they were not a country still.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay? They were troops. They were terrorist groups called Shter, Aragon, Haganah, Belmach, and so on. These groups were not army, were militias. And militias could do whatever they want. It's not an official thing.
Okay.
But if the state of Israel kicked these people out, okay, it's going to be held against them as a genocide or ethnic cleansing. Even that they tried, as I told you, 1953, Israel actually committed a very horrible massacre called Kufr Qasim. Kufr Qasim massacre was established or was made, not sure exactly 53 or a little bit before or after, but after the establishment of the state of Israel. And that massacre was meaning to kick out the rest of the Palestinians. So they went to a central village, as they usually did before that, Central Arab village, all the Arab villages around it. Okay. They went to that one, waited until the people left to go to work, and after that, they held, they surrounded this place, and they announced a curfew. They announced a curfew after the men already left. So the men didn't get any information about the curfew. They already were not there. Okay, and they hid. When the people came back, when the men came back to the village, everybody was in the street has broken the curfew.
Okay.
So everybody was in the street was killed. We're talking about more than 50 people that got killed at that day. Now, their idea was to do the same thing that was done before that. Okay, in 1948 and before, what they did, they went to a central village, killed everybody and surrounded it from three sides and kept one side open so that people would flee the country to some other country.
Okay.
That's what they did around Kufr Qasim. They surrounded all of the villages, kept one entrance to go outside the country, and the Palestinians did not, because they learned from their past experience. And they said whether to stay all or to die all. Okay, and that's why Israel basically are stuck with 2 million Palestinians today inside it. Not that they are
Be careful.
Nice enough to keep them, but because they couldn't get rid of them.
And what about the IDs? They do have an ID, Israeli card or passport or something?
There are two type of Palestinians. The Palestinians who found themselves in what is called Israel after 1948, which basically got the Israeli citizenship, okay, passport and ID and all of that, and the Palestinians that stayed in Jerusalem and after 1967 were occupied, so they were not considered to be citizens, they were considered to be residents. So they were considered to be refugees in their houses. And until today, they do not have the Israeli citizenship, they have the Israeli ID card. So they're allowed to stay, but they're not citizens. Which means...
They cannot vote.
Which means, not only that, which means is that whenever Israel have an agreement with the Palestinians about somewhere called Palestine, these people are going to be kicked out.
Okay.
I'm vague on they made the group with they could only go out one way. The captive people could only escape one way. They closed them in. And you say some of them chose not to go.
Yes.
But they weren't killed then?
They were not killed because Israeli's strategy basically was to kill a central village and to push the people out with fear.
Right.
But the people in 1950s realized the Israeli tactics.
Right.
And that's why they didn't leave, and Israel was stuck with the rest.
Okay, so they didn't go out the door. They didn't
go out the door, and they stayed. But that was not known for the people in 1948, because what people knew and thought that Israel is going to kill everybody, because Israel in 1948 committed more than 70 massacres, according to Zuhurut, which is an Israeli organization for research and study. Okay, so it was not one massacre in 1948 and before and after. It was many different massacres in many different places. So it wasn't one place where people, okay, yeah, they're trying the same tactic again. No, in 1948, people didn't know that. And what happened is that Israel would kill and would spread the rumors everywhere that Israelis are killing everybody, raping everybody, you have to run for your life. And who helped with that? The British government. The Brits at that time, instead of helping the Palestinians, which would be able very easy, it would be very easy for them to do, because they had over 100,000 soldiers in the area. So they could easily protect the Palestinians from the Jews, from the Israelis at that time. But they didn't, and instead they put loudspeakers on their vehicles, in their military vehicles, drove in the villages, telling people to run away for their lives. Okay, and that's what happened, and that's what helped the Israelis of procuring as much as possible. Right, guys?
Okay, nowadays Israel is 8 million people.
Is sheep, lamb, yes? I like lamb, and I don't see it much. Lose my group here. This is a market area. There's one of my group. Okay. There they are. Hello.
Palestine, as I told you before, that is below or above the ground. Water is below the ground, and Israel controls that water. Now, the consumption in Palestine And the problem with the water in Palestine is not due to lack of resources, it's due to misdistribution. Israel come, dig for the water, suck it back to Israel, then sell it back to us. They sell it back to us with a much higher rate, a much lower portion. Every liter that goes to the Palestinians inside Palestinian territories from Palestinian water, 6 goes to the settlements. So it's 1 to 6. And that's from the Palestinian water. The actual consumption average in Palestine and Israel varies so badly. The average consumption rate in Palestine is 10 liters per person per day. In Israel, it's 400 liters per person per day. Okay? And that shows they do not lack for water. We do, because they give us less than what we deserve. That's why they get to consume as much as they want, and they keep us on a short leash. We cannot produce our food, we cannot make any industries because we do not have water. Okay, and that's why we import most of that, even that we could easily plant it.
They have to
So they
import.
do 2 things. They occupy the areas where Palestinians can easily grow, and that's why there are a lot of settlements in the Rift Valley, which is inside West Bank. And they control the water resources. And that is basically a very important problem and a very critical problem people are facing. Okay? Now also, if you look at the veterans of the
What they're saying is these Palestinians have to import this, even though they could grow it. But Israel controls the water supply, so they can't. They have to buy it from Israel.
If we want to grow cows, we would have to spend a lot of water for that. And that's why most of our meat is either goat or lamb, and if we have cows, we usually also imported them from Israel. Okay, guys?
All right.
This way.
I want to buy some pig meat, some pork.
Not here, but some shops, yes, you are. You can buy them.
Okay.
Yeah, there are a couple of butchery shops that do sell that, but it's not that popular, and that's why it's not in the main market.
I was just sort of joking. I didn't think I could find
but
it.
it's possible. You can buy it. Okay? Come in, guys. This way. Then they would pull.
Animals would pull this around, animals to grind the olives to make oil.
After crushing the olives, they would collect them and put them in these nets there. You see these nets? The cloth nets here? No. Here. And it's basically a palace inside a mountain. He built the palace.
This one where the flag is?
No, that's this one, that one.
Okay, this is a panoramic view of Bethlehem, but the sun is kind of like in the wrong place for this to be good, but maybe
He wanted to have a high place enough
it'll
to see
come out
Jerusalem
better.
from, so he basically doubled the height of the mountain. Yeah, that's what he did. He built.
This is a market where the local Bedouins or local sheep holders or whatever will come to sell.
Guys, if you want any vegetables,
their
tomato or something, you
produce.
can buy it from the market.
Can you get me 2 stuff, please?
2 stuff. تنتين محشيات خلص غاد.
I don't speak Arabic yet.
Was not safe. A lot of these places, a lot of these shops were taken away. The gold was basically taken away by the soldiers. Alright guys, that's why all of these shops, when we came after the curfew area, the curfew time, which is the 40 days curfew, all of these shops were blown up by Israeli bombs. Okay, and that's what happened at that time. After that, when people wanted to reopen again, they couldn't, because in many cases, these places didn't have anything else to start up with again. That's why they sold these shops, or they reopened with something else. Now, some of these people reopened, as you see, with novelties and clothes and stuff like that, but others managed to go into jewelry again, but in some cases,
So this is the gold street or the gold market, and what Sadat is saying is that when in 2000 whatever, that the Israelis just kind of took it all over and took all the gold.
and he was after being shot in the leg. Okay. Mahmoud, after being shot and investigated and interrogated by the Israeli soldiers, was shot in the head. Okay. This is a graffiti and a mural that was made by Banksy 11 years ago. Who's Banksy? No?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Oh,
Heard
how
of
does
him.
he look like?
Oh no. We
Well,
don't know.
Banksy is the most famous anonymous graffiti artist from Britain, or based in Bristol at least. Okay, Banksy was known with his support to Palestinian cause as well as many other just causes around the world. He painted Mahmoud here for a reason. Now Banksy came to Palestine several times. First time was 2003. Nobody cared about him and what he did. Second time was 2005, and he painted on the wall. Was 1 year after the wall was built in Bethlehem, and everybody hated him. Why? Because he painted it on the wall, and they thought this is an ugly wall that has to stay ugly until it's removed. That's why they painted over most of his work on the wall. Third time he came here, he painted in several places where you can see occupation figures without beautifying them. That's where he made this art piece here. That's where he made 2 or 3 more art pieces in Bethlehem, and I'm going to show it to you later today. Now, what is Mahmoud and what he did? The actual image and the actual picture is a real person carrying a stone thrown on the Israeli soldiers. That's Mahmoud al-Mughrabi, a Palestinian guy from Bethlehem, from the Haitian refugee camp, who was shot and killed after being arrested. And the story behind it is that he wanted to highlight something in this area here. And in Mahmoud's case, he wanted to highlight a very harsh prison and military base at that time. Come in, guys. 11 years ago, when this piece was made, none of these houses existed. And that's why you can easily see that military base. You could see the in the area on top of that hill, you can see that gray tower with the light next to it. Okay, that time the whole mountain was an Israeli military base and prison. So he made it this big in order to let the prisoners be able to see it and the soldiers. Why is that? He was sending a message. That message saying is that resistance is beautiful. Why is that? Because it's an aim. It's aiming to get freedom. And whatever he was saying, whatever he was doing, he was not doing something ugly. It's a resistance message to the soldiers and a hope message to the Palestinian prisoners. And it just like was, he is carrying the bouquet of flowers that is going to be put on his grave when he was shot and killed after being arrested by the Israeli soldiers. Right, guys?